Good morning, my dear students. I am Dr. Venkat. Welcome to my Aniruddha tutorials. I teach zoology for the NEET aspirants for the All India Medical Entrance Examination. In my previous classes, I explained up to the musculoskeletal system, and now I am going to deal with the skeletal system, the forelimbs and hind limbs of man and the joints, etc. First of all, the forelimbs. Forelimbs of man. In each forelimb, the bones are as follows. This is the first bone, humerus. This bone is humerus. See, this is the head of the humerus. Head of the humerus. Humerus contain a ridge for the articulation of the muscles. There is a ridge in the humerus, and that ridge is the deltoid ridge. Deltoid ridge is the ridge of the humerus. It is the deltoid ridge. The humerus articulates with the radio ulna. See, this is the bone. This bone is radius, and this bone is ulna. Ulna has a process. Ulna has the process, and the process of ulna, for example, this is the process of ulna for the articulation of the muscle, and this is the olecranon process. Olecranon process is the ulna process. Ulna contains the olecranon process. This is radius and ulnus. So this is the humerus, radius and ulna. After that, there are carpals. These are carpals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8 carpals. These are 8 carpals. These carpal bones are called as the wrist bones. Wrist bones are carpals. In the palm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5 number of the metacarpals. We have 5 metacarpals. Metacarpal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5 number of the metacarpals. 5 metacarpals. And in the fingers inside the finger there are bones called as the digital bones or phalangeal bones. If you see, this is the first digit, second digit, third, fourth and fifth. This is the small finger. First digit is the thumb. In the thumb there are 2 phalanges. There are 3 in the second, 3 in the third, 3 in the fourth and 3 in the fifth. Therefore, these bones which are present in the fingers are called as the phalangeal bones. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. See the diagrammatic representation. The radius is the bone which is facing towards the small finger. This is the thumb, but this is the radius. The radius is facing towards the thumb. Radius is facing towards the thumb. Okay, this is the first digit thumb, second digit, third digit, fourth, and the fifth. The bones present inside the hand are called as the digital bones or phalangeal bones. Digital bones or phalangeal bones. Therefore, the digital formula or the phalangeal formula of man is 2, 3, 3, 3, 3. Total number of the digital bones are 14. Digital bones are 14. So, number of the bones in the volume of man are 1 plus 2, 3 plus 8, 11 plus 5 and 14. Totally, number of the bones in the volume are, each volume contains 30 and another volume contains 30, each hand contains 30. Therefore, the total number of the bones in the forelimbs of man are 16. These are 16 now. So, I told you that head of the humerus articulates with the pectoral girdle, because pectoral girdle is the girdle which is supporting the forelimbs, and this is the pectoral girdle. One side pectoral girdle contains two bones. This is one bone, scapula. There is a coral bone called either clavicle. There are two bones in the pectoral girdle, scapula and the clavicle. So I show you the clavicle also. This is the clavicle. This is the clavicle. And this is a scapula bone. Scapula and the clavicle. So, number of the bones in the forelimbs of man are, each forelimb contains 30 plus 30 is equals to 60. But I draw the diagram again pertaining to the pectoral girdle. So, humerus, radio ulna, carpals, metacarpals and the phalanges. Number of the carpals are 8 and they are called as the wrist bones. Metacarpals are 5, digital bones are 14. This is all about the forelimb. And coming to the forelimbs are supported by the girdle. Forelimb girdles are called as the pectoral girdles. Pectoral girdle. Pectoral girdle. Each half of the pectoral girdle contains two bones. Therefore, number of the bones in the pectoral girdle, 2 plus 2 is equals to 4. Total number of the bones in the pectoral girdles of man are 4. 2 plus 2 is equals to 4. Pectoral girdle. And the pectoral girdle is formed by the two bones, one side, scapula and the clavicle. So, this is a large triangular bone. This is the large triangular bone. A flat, large triangular bone a large flat triangular bone, and this triangular bone is called as scapula. Scapula. This is the scapula present on the dorsal side of the body. This is the scapula. But scapula has a spine. This is the spine of the scapula, and this scapula ends with a process, and this process is called as acromion process. Acromion process is the process of scapula. Acromion process is the process of the scapula, and below the acromion process there is a cavity. See, scapula bone has a cavity, and this cavity is glenoid cavity. This is the glenoid cavity. I repeat again. A large flat bone, triangular bone on the dorsal side, is called as scapula. Scapula has a spine, ends with the acromion process. Below the acromion process there is a cavity called as a glenoid cavity. Into the glenoid cavity, the head of the humerus. Therefore, this is the glenoid cavity. Into the glenoid cavity, the head of the humerus articulates, forms the ball and socket joint. Actually, this joint is called the shoulder joint. See this? Into the glenoid cavity, this is the head of the humerus. This is the humerus bone. The head of the humerus articulates into the glenoid cavity of the pectoral girdle. I mean with the scapula. This is all about the pectoral girdle. Each half of the pectoral girdle contains two bones. One, the triangular bone called as the scapula. There is another bone, and this bone is called as the clavicle. I draw on this side. Remove this. So on one side, pectoral girdle contains two bones. So far I discussed about the scapula that is present on the dorsal side of the body. But on the ventral side, this bone is called as the collar bone. Collar is present on ventral side, collar bone is present on the ventral side, and that bone is called as clavicle. I will show you this. This is the clavicle bone. This is the clavicle bone. Clavicle on one side attaches to the acromion process of the scapula. On the proximal side attaches to the sternum. The part of the sternum is the manubrium. I repeat again. Clavicle touches to the manubrium here. Clavicle touches the acromion process on the distal end. So this is the manubrium of the sternum. And the body, and this is the xiphoid process. So clavicle plus scapula on one side. Number of the bones are 2 plus 2 is equals to 4. Number of the bones in the pectoral girdles of man are 4 plus 60 is equals to 64. This is all about the forelimbs and the girdles. I think you understood that. Next one, the hind limbs of man. Hind limbs of man. Here I remove this. Man, and coming to the hind limbs. Now, hind limbs of man along with the girdles are called as the pelvic girdles. Hind. I mean the legs. Each hind limb of man contains the following bones. This is the femur, and this is the head of the femur. Head of the femur and the femur bone. Below femur, there are two bones. This is tibia and this is fibula. This bone is fibula. Together called as tibiofibula. Femur, tibiofibula. Like in hand, these are the wrist bones. In the ankle bones, in the leg ankle, ankle bones are called as the ankle bones or tarsal bones. Ankle bones are tarsal bones. Number of the tarsal bones are 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are 7 tarsals. 7 tarsals. And there are metatarsals in the palm, leg palm. These are metatarsals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 number of the metatarsals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Metatarsals. These are 7 in number. And the distal bones. The bones which are present in the fingers are called as distal bones. Distal bones. There are 2 digits in the thumb. This is the thumb. The first finger. This is the second finger. 3, 4, and 5. These are the bones. Therefore, the thumb contains 2 bones. 3 bones are present in the second finger. 3, 3, 3. Therefore, the digital formula of the hind limb also same. 2, 3, 3, 3, 3. Total number of the digital bones are phalangeal bones are 14. But in the leg, there is another bone is called as the patella. See, this is the kneecap. Patella. It is a kneecap. So patella is a sesamoid bone. Patella is a sesamoid bone. Right here. It is a sesamoid bone. What is the meaning of sesamoid bone? Sesamoid bone is the bone which is ossified in the tendon. Ossified in tendon. When the bones are ossified in the tendon, such kind of the bones are called as sesamoid bones. Example, one patella in the leg. There are 8 number of the carpals in the hand. One of the carpal is a pisiform bone. Pisiform bone also a sesamoid bone. This is one pisiform bone in one hand, pisiform bone in another hand. These are two number of the sesamoid bones. In the legs also there are two kneecaps, but so far up to the level of the plus 1 plus 2 level, number of the sesamoid bones are 1, 2, 3, 4. Sesamoid bones are 4 so far. So this is all about the number of the bones in the hind limb. Each leg contains 30 bones. Another leg contains 30 bones is equals to 60. Number of bones in the forelimbs are 60. Number of bones in the hind limbs also 60. And the hind limbs are supported by the girdles are called as the pelvic girdles. Pelvic girdles supports the hind limb. Each half of the pelvic girdle contain the bone. They are called as the coaxial bones. It is one coaxial element and this is another coaxial element. Therefore, pelvic girdle bones are called as the coaxial bones. Coaxial bones. And they are also called as the hip bones. Coaxial bones or hip bones. Number of the bones in the pelvic girdle. Coaxial bones, one side are 1, another side are. The hind limbs are supported by the pelvic girdles. Pelvic girdle bones are called as the coaxial bones or the hip bones. Number of the hip bones are 2. And one side 1, and another side 1. Number of the coaxial bones are only 2. Pelvic girdle bones are 2. Pectoral girdle bones are 4. 2 plus 2 is equals to 4. 1 plus 1, 2. And the pelvic girdle, I draw the diagram of the pelvic girdle. This is the and this bone is the sacrum. As I explained in the previous classes, sacrum is a triangular vertebra. It is fused by the 5 vertebrae. After that, this is the coccyx. Coccyx also triangular, fused by 4 vertebrae. This is the vertebral column. And coming back to the pelvic girdle, each half of the pelvic girdle contains 2 coaxial bones. Pelvic girdle bones are parts are 3. This is ilium and this bone is ischium and this is pubis. Parts are 3 but bone is single. Single pelvic girdle 2. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But the pubis says they meet on the ventral side and the mid-ventral region of the pelvis. The pubic symphysis is present. This is the pubic symphysis. Pubic symphysis. Between the two pubises. Between the two pubises, pubic symphysis is present. But the pelvic girdle contains a cavity. This is the cavity and this is the cavity. And this cavity, okay, I show you briefly. This is the cavity and this is another cavity. and the cavity of the pelvic girdle is the acetabulum. Acetabulum. Into the head of acetabulum, the head of the femur. This is the head of the femur articulates. This is femur bone, and this is tibiofibula. Tibia, fibula. There are tarsals, metatarsals, etc. So, once again, between the acetabulum and the head of the femur, there is a joint called as the ball and socket joint. With this, I conclude about the total skeletal system. Number of the bones in the skeletal system are 206. Out of 206, 80 are in the axial skeleton, 126 in the appendicular skeleton. How? 126. Number of the forelimb bones are 60. 30 plus 30 is equals to 60. Number of the bones in the hind limb are also 30 plus 30 is equals to 60. Number of the bones in the pectoral girdle. Number of the bones in the pectoral girdles are 2 plus 2 is equals to 4. Number of the bones in the pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle are 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. Total number of the bones in the appendicular skeleton are 126. 80 plus 126 is equals to 206. This is all about the forelimb bones and the hind limb bones. And now I am going to discuss about the joints in the human beings. And now I am going to deal with the joints. Joints. The study of joints is arthrology. Study of joints is arthrology. Joints are helping for the body movements. They are involved in the body movements. Joints. A joint may be found between the bone to bone and also between the bone to cartilage. So, joint can be found between maybe bone to bone or between the bone to cartilage. Between the bone to bone and the bone to cartilage. Here very important statement. The force generated by the muscle is transported to the bone, and that force via bone is helping for the body movements. Helps for the body movements. Where the joint works as the, very much important, where joint works as a fulcrum where the joint is working as a fulcrum. You know the meaning of fulcrum? Fulcrum is a middle point. So, joint works as a fulcrum. The force generated by the muscle is connected to the bone and then helping for the body movements. The joint is working as a fulcrum. So, joints are classified into following types. I classify the joints into three types. And this classification of the joint is depending upon the movability of the joint. Depending upon the movability. One are called as the diarthrosis. Diarthrosis. Amphiarthrosis. And one more, the synarthrosis. These are three types of joints depending upon the movability. Because all diarthrosis are freely movable. Freely movable. Amphiarthrosis are a little movable. Synarthrosis are totally immovable. So this is the classification of a joint depending upon the movement, mobility, freely movable, little movable and immobile, diarthrosis, amphiarthrosis and the synarthrosis. And another classification of the joints are also classified depending upon the origin, how they are formed, depending upon the origin. These joints are classified into three types. Joints are classified into three types. One are the fibrous joints. Second type are cartilaginous joints. And third one are the synovial joints. What is a fibrous joint? See, for example, this is a bone and this is another bone. This is a bone, another bone. Between the two bones, there is a fibrous connective tissue. This is the fibrous connective tissue. It's a fibrous tissue between the two bones, hence it is called as a fibrous joint. But cartilaginous joints are those joints, for example, this is a bone and this is another bone and another bone. But between these two, there is a cartilage. It is the cartilage called as the cartilaginous joint. Then what is the meaning of a synovial joint? Synovial joint is that joint, this is the only one joint have a synovial cavity, synovial fluid. See this. Synovial joint, it is bone and this is another bone. Between these two bones, there is a synovial capsule and this is the outer synovial membrane and there is a inner synovial membrane. And this cavity is the synovial cavity. And this synovial cavity is filled by the fluid, and the fluid is the synovial fluid. And this synovial fluid contains some chemicals. What are present inside the synovial fluid? Synovial fluid contains the hyaluronic acid, hyaluronic acid. Actually, hyaluronic acid is a lubricant. Hyaluronic acid is a lubricant, and because of the lubrication activity of the hyaluronic acid, that reduces the friction between the two bonds. Reduces the friction between the two bonds. That is why the bones are not eroded. Ultimately, the bones will work properly. If there is a declinity in the synovial cavity, synovial fluid, hyaluronic acid, the two bones joins together and leads to the arthritis. So, the synovial fluid not only contain the hyaluronic acid and also synovial fluid contain the phagocytic cells. There are phagocytic cells which are engulfing the foreign particle. This is all about the synovial joint. Here, amongst the three types of joints, one are fibrous, cartilaginous, synovial joints. Synovial joints are the only one joints which contain the synovial cavity, synovial fluid, and the synovial fluid helping for the free movement of a joint, synovial cavity. So, coming back to the fibrous joints. Fibrous joints are three types. Fibrous joints are three types. One are the sutures. Second one, syndesmos. And third one, the gamphoses. These are three types of the fibrous joints. Sutures, syndesmos and gamphoses. What is a suture? Generally, the suture joints are present between the two regular cranial bones, as I told you in the previous class. Sutures are formed between the cranial bones. For example, POL, parietal, between the parietal bone, and occipital. There is a suture, is the lambdoid suture. Between the parietal and also occipital. Between the parietal and frontal, there is a suture called the coronal suture. Coronal suture and the lambdoid suture. These are some examples of the sutures. My intention is, suture is a fibrous joint. Look at, suture is a fibrous joint. Generally, sutures are formed between the two regular cranial bones. And coming to the syndesmos, where you see a syndesmos. Syndesmos is seen between the interosseous membrane between the tibiofibula. The example of the syndesmos is interosseous membrane between tibia and fibula. Where you see the tibia fibula are the two bones in the shank, middle leg. For example, if you see, this is the femur bone, and this is the tibiofibula. For example, if you see, this is the tibia and this is the tibiofibula. Between the tibiofibula, there is a fibrous tissue. This is called as the interosseous, between the two bones. Interosseous membrane between the tibiofibula is the example of the syndesmos. And coming to the gamphoses are present between the, for example, if you see that this is the jawbone socket, Between the inside the jawbone socket there is a tooth. The tooth is embedded. The tooth is embedded inside the jawbone socket. Between the jawbone socket and the tooth there is a fibrous tissue. This is the fibrous tissue. Yeah. And the fibrous tissue between the jawbone socket and the tooth is the gum force. And coming to the cartilaginous joints, as I told you, cartilage joint is the joint formed by the cartilage. Between the two regular bones there is a cartilage. The examples of the cartilaginous joints, one are synchondrolus, and one more is symphysis. Synchondrolus and symphysis are two types of the cartilage joints because there is a cartilage between the two bones. Synchondrolus, where you see the synchondrolus, for example, this is a long bone. At the tip of the long bone there is epiphysis. This is the epiphysis. A narrow shaft is called as diaphysis. Between the epiphysis and the diaphysis there is a junction, and this junction is called as metaphysis. Between the epiphysis and the diaphysis there is a metaphysis, but the metaphysis contains the epiphyseal plate. This is, for example, it is the epiphyseal plate where the growth of the bone occurs, epiphyseal plate. The joint between the epiphysis and the epiphyseal plate, for example, this is the area. This is the joint called as a synchondrous. I repeat again. Synchondrous is formed between the epiphysis and the epiphyseal plate. It is between these two there is a cartilage called as a cartilage joint. Symphysis, as I explained earlier, symphysis is formed between the two pubices, pubic symphysis. Example is the pubic symphysis. Pubic symphysis is symphysis. And in the NCERT textbook I have written that cartilage joint is present between the two regular vertebrae. Between the intervertebral joint. The intervertebral joint is a cartilaginous joint. Between the two regular vertebrae there is a cartilage. Intervertebral joint is a cartilaginous joint. And coming to the synovial joints. Synovial joints are those joints which contain the synovial cavity, synovial fluid, and all are freely movable. And I can tell you that all diarthroes are synovial joints. Because diarthros is a joint, it is freely movable. All synovial joints are freely movable. Therefore, my conclusion is all diarthroes are synovial joints which are freely movable. And coming to, as I told you, diarthroes, amphiarthroes, and synarthroes. So look at here. Suture, this is 1. Syndesmos, 2. Gamphos, 3. Synchondrous, cartilage joints, 1. Symphysis, 2. I have given some numbers for my convenience. Fiber joints are 1, 2, 3. Cartilage joints are 1 and 2. Here 1, 3, this is 1, 3, and this is 1. I mean all sutures, all gamphoses, all synchondrous. 1, 3, 1. I repeat, sutures, gamphoses, synchondrous or synarthrosis. They are totally immovable joints. One, three, one. Sutures, gamphorus and synchronous are totally immobile. Remaining 2 and 2. This is 2 and another 2. 2 and 2. I mean syndesmos and symphysis. They are called as amphiorgans. Amphiorgans are little mobile. Amphiorgans are little mobile. This is all about the classification of the joints depending upon the mobility. Diarthroges or synovial joints. Amphiorgans, 1. This is a syndesmos and the symphysis 2 here. Amphiorgans. And synorgans are totally immobile. Examples: sutures, gamphorus, and also synchondrous are totally immobile. And now I move on to the types of the synovial joints. And now the synovial joints. All synovial joints are diarthroges. I mean all are freely mobile. All are freely mobile joints are synovial joints. Once again I draw the diagram of a synovial joint. This is a bone. This is another. The tip of the two bones has the cartilage. Yes. This is the cartilage and this is the cartilage.